we just want to make sure that we're not letting anybody fall between the cracks, which when you get to a maturity of age, there may be multiple people that you just don't realize are even living in that house or that apartment and really could use assistance because they don't know how to reach out. So we're hoping that through information and things that we can get out to their children or friends. We have a lot of people that walk into the main office of Valley Senior Services, and I'll hear, because my office is right up front, I hear a lot what goes on at the front desk. And they'll say, I have a friend that has a problem, and I'm here to try to get some information. And maybe the person that needs the help is, I don't want to say ashamed or just fearful to ask for that help, but there's a friend that will do it for them. And that's what we need to keep striving for, is that we get to all those people that need that help.
Okay. Welcome to episode 4 of In Our Wheelhouse. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, Allison. I am Cindy. I am the transit manager for Valley Senior Services.
All right. Can you, we're just going to start at the top, explain what Valley Senior Services is and everything that you guys provide, where you provide it for, what you guys are doing.
Sure, I'd love to. So we are in 6 counties in this regional area. We are in Cass, Richland, Ransom Sargent, and Trail Steel. We provide services for seniors. We provide Meals on Wheels. We provide transportation, and we provide resource specialists that will go out into the homes and help seniors with different types of things that they need within their home. We are trying to keep seniors in their homes for as long as possible, that they can stay independent without having to go to a facility that maybe they're just not comfortable to be in quite yet.
Yeah. You had said services, so the services would include what you just listed, or is there more to it than that?
Well, there actually is more. Meals on Wheels, we have in the West Fargo area, we have 55 routes a day, which is about 400 so meals in a day that we serve in this area. Now, that's just in the West Fargo area. So that's a lot of meals. And within that, the people that we serve, we have resource specialists that go into the homes and talk to these seniors and find out if there is things that maybe they need some extra help. Do they need some adaptive equipment? Do they need help doing some things within their home? Do they need transportation? And the people that go into their home go through a series of questions and concerns. Sometimes it's just with the person, sometimes it's with the family, to make sure that we're getting them the right type of services. And if we don't have the answers, there's many areas within the community that they can reach out to ask for more help.
I was just going to ask how many other types of programs and services are there, or is Valley Senior taking a big majority of the need?
You know, there is so many areas that can be utilized within this community that people don't even realize what is out there for seniors. And that is just the start of our resource specialists. They are the contact person, and they will help with everything that they can possibly help with or find an answer, whether it be rent refunds, Medicaid Part D, just maybe even looking into what is the best area of town to try to find so they can get the services that they need. Those resource specialists are full of information.
So how do we get a hold of the resource specialists?
They would call our main Valley Senior Service phone number, and they'll be asked a few questions, and then that will be determined what area of town they live in, to which resource specialist would be the best to handle their situation. We also have resource specialists out in our counties. So even if a county person would call, maybe it's from Wahpeton or Lisbon, they could call our main phone number, which is 293-1440, and they could help utilize some of those areas out there with the resource specialists that we have in those areas. And we would help get that right phone number to that person.
Okay. That's a lot to think about. It's not something that I think a lot of people are thinking about.
Right.
In general, what happens to the seniors?
You know, one of the questions that we may get is, my walker broke. How do I get it fixed? Well, there's areas in town that will help fix things, equipment, help provide equipment. And these resource specialists know where to go to get that information to the right person. Or I have nobody to shovel my sidewalk. I have no way to get out of my home because the snow has gotten so deep. And the resource specialists are the person, the first point of contact that we can help them get some information.
Yeah. Those resource specialists are crucial for your guys' operation.
They are
clearly.
very, very crucial. Plus, those resource specialists go out every day and provide the meal deliveries also, besides our unbenefited volunteers, which I know you have done, to help go bring those meals to those homes for people. And families are very gracious that we have those volunteers that can go out and do those meals, because sometimes that is the only person they see all day long.
So I think Sam was on the first one with me, or maybe it was an old employee. But that was something I absolutely thought about while we were driving around on the routes was some seniors, they just kind of wanted their meal, and then you left them alone, and then some of them wanted you to come into the home and start talking to you. But I know that's a common thing that gets talked about, is how lonely you get.
You know, it is amazing how many seniors are in this area, and for one reason or another, the family is just not here, or they don't have any family left. As seniors are maturing, sometimes they have outlived a lot of the friends and family that are near them. And having a meal delivered every day, and you see that person come to the door, you know they're safe, you know that they're up and moving. Now, we have some that can't get up and get to the door. So we go in and just make a point of contact and, make sure they're okay. But it's really important for those seniors to stay in their home and stay healthy, as their senior living has gotten so expensive, and it just seems like they do so much better in their own environment, that getting that meal every day and that point of contact, it is amazing how it keeps them going.
Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with my great-grandmother before she died a few years ago, and I had asked her what if there was like anything, a tip, life tip, what did she have to say? And she said, get yourself a good group of friends, because your husband's going to die long before you. The kids are going to move away. Do you see that as... In thinking about that, do you see kind of the Meals on Wheels program being a supplement for that?
We do. Not only do we have the home delivered meals, we also have 31 meal sites throughout our counties and in the area for a senior to come and have a sit-down meal, a congregate meal. And a lot of them just need to come in, get out of the house, come into a different environment, maybe just say hi to someone else. Some of them stay afterwards and maybe put a puzzle together or play some cards. Or on Thursdays at the Ed Clapp Center, it's bingo day. And I tell you what, that is a huge draw. It's not that they're really winning anything, but it's the couple hours of having some fun, being with other people, and then they go home and maybe they're more on their own again, but at least they're coming in every day to just visit and get out of their home. Some people can't do that, but some people can. And the ones that can't personally drive, that's where the transportation service comes into play. And that is what we are for. We are there to get those seniors to places they need to go and have some interaction, or come to a doctor's appointment, or go to a grocery store, or we have, and this is coming from my age of being a hairstylist, we have Thursday and Friday ladies that go to the beauty shop and they look so forward to going and having their hair done that is their outing for the week, and that just keeps them going on a regular basis.
Absolutely. You had mentioned over 400 meals are getting served a day, and that's just a once a day thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it's amazing how there's many of them that, because of their age, maybe that meal's a little bit larger than what they would eat in one sitting. They may eat it for 2 sittings, but just to make sure they're getting that nutritional meal and all the components in one time a day is a huge plus for a family to know that parent is getting that meal.
How many volunteers would you say you need for that program specifically right now?
Well, so every day we have those 55 routes. So we need at least 55 people every single day, 5 days a week, to be able to go out and deliver those meals. And lately, with the weather and the temperatures, things like that, people that go away for the winter, people that go away for the summer, there's always a moving community that comes through. But I tell you what, our volunteers are golden to us for what they can do for us.
Absolutely. What I really liked about the way it's set up is that you guys make it so easy for volunteers. As far as instructions go, that was impressive because you're going to houses, you're going to condos, regular apartment complexes. Sometimes you got to drive in a back alley to get to the specific door that you need to. So if the instructions were go to this house, door on the right, knock really loud, wait a minute, maybe need to knock again, like this person's hard of hearing, or this person wants the meal set in front of the door and then knock, or whatever it is. You guys make it so easy. I was nervous the first time I ever did it. Like, I don't want to intrude. I don't know what to do. What's going to happen? And you just, here's the route. You go pick up the food, you go and deliver it. And I know Sam does it, I think, every week, right, Sam?
2 to 3 times a month.
Okay, well, close.
Yeah, it's we have a lot of business partners that they will get what we call volunteer hours to be out and helping, which is a plus because that we have been chosen to use their volunteer hours. We have people that just do it, just want to help. We have some that in the summer will bring their kids with, and it's fun to watch the younger kids as they come in and pick up the slips, and they may look at it and look at the parent and say, hey, Mrs. So-and-so is not on here today. Do you think she's okay? So even at that age of maybe a middle school or a elementary school, they're already recognizing the people on their route and, should we be concerned? And sometimes there are concerns that we need to watch for. If you go up to a home and it just doesn't look right, or you've knocked and there isn't an answer, we do have protocol in place, so we follow up and make sure that person is okay. There are situations where we've had a volunteer maybe come across a recipient that is not feeling well that day, or maybe has fallen and could not get up. And bless the soul of the volunteer that they were there and realized what was going on and was able to call for a 911, or they call into the office to make sure their emergency contact can get called and say, there's something going on here, it doesn't feel right, and we are able to help that person.
I really hope that when people watch this or listen to this, that they understand the magnitude of what you guys provide. Just not just Meals on Wheels, the confidence, the care that you guys provide, and all of the other services that you do for our seniors, because they often get left out of the conversation.
You know, when COVID hit and we had to close our senior centers, we were able to continue with home delivered, and we had more volunteers that we needed during that factor. And we were able to keep driving too, to be able to provide those rides to go to the doctor, to go to Roger Maris, to go to dialysis, because that is something that you can't stop doing just because COVID hit. So we were able to keep our services going. We had to put some different protocols into place. We had to keep people safe. We needed to keep the recipients safe, but we found a way to do it. And, you know, that just made a bigger bond of what this whole Valley Senior Services does for the community.
Which is impressive, considering the senior population was one of those most at risk. So the fact that you were still able to do that is incredible.
Right. We had, right now in transportation, we have 40 drivers, but our drivers are all part-time. They're all retired. Not that that's what we look for, but it's a part-time position. So most of, they're a retired driver. They're just looking for something to do a couple days a week. And the seniors enjoy them because they kind of have the same information, or they can talk about something and it's understood. And the drivers have a good conversation. Sometimes the drivers don't get to say much. They just get to listen, but that's what they're there for. And they get them from point A to point B and home again afterwards and in a safe environment.
I love some of your guys' drivers. I've never met all of them, but you guys have been coming to OK Tire for your vehicle needs for quite some time now. We were just talking about Doug Gardner earlier and the trust that you guys have. I love the drivers come in and they just drop off the keys. They're like, I don't even know what's going on, but I think it's an oil change. I'm not sure, but they're always so happy. Which, how incredibly important is that when you're working with seniors who might not have the best?
You know, they're the point of contact for their weekly talk. I'll say it that way, as they may tell the driver the same story every single time they get in the vehicle, but the driver just listens, smiles, and keeps on driving. And yeah, we have had a very great relationship with OK Tire as of you're able to take care of the fleet vehicles. We have 15 vehicles here in town that we run on a regular basis, but all in all, we have 27 vehicles on our fleet. And it's to the point where we have started utilizing all of our vehicles to come to OK Tire because of the trust and the understanding and the truthfulness
Thank you.
that we get. You will understand that, you know, it's not something that we can take a vehicle out of commission for a week and have it sit someplace. That just isn't doable. We've got to keep those buggies on the road.
Right.
And with the type of arrangements we have and the friendship that we have with OK Tire, you get our vehicles back on the road in a phenomenal amount of time.
Good. Because you guys have things that you got going on.
Oh, we got places to go and people to see.
Exactly. You can't be messing around.
No. And so we utilize the OK Tires here in town, but we also utilize the one in Wapaton for the Richland County, and we try to make it work as best as we can. And boy, it's a good friendship.
Mm-hmm. And you guys, we have a good crew.
We
in
do.
All the stores.
You do. We can walk in and, you know, they joke with us. They're good to us. They give us phone calls when we need to know what's going on. You don't just do a service without asking. It's it's just one of those relationships to know that you can bring a vehicle in and get it taken care of, and it's going to be safe. So it's a good relationship.
Thank you. I'm so glad that we have this relationship.
Me too, because it's much easier on myself and the operations manager, operations supervisor, to be able to know that we can do this, and that's one thing off our plate, that it's a done deal.
That's what we're here for. How can we help you?
That's right.
So I kind of want to go to Giving Hearts Day. You guys got over $70,000
We
this
did.
year. That's amazing.
It is. It is. We ended up with 100 more donation givers than what we did last year, which is, we are just happy with anything we can get, because this is our biggest and our only really fundraiser that we do throughout the year. Our meals are all done on donation basis. So whatever a person can provide for a donation is taken, but there is no set fee. So no one is ever denied a meal. It's a suggested price of $4, but sometimes that $4 is tough to come by. So whatever can be given, and some people give more and some people just don't have it at that time. So when we do Giving Hearts, it is our grand hoopla. And seeing this and watching those numbers grow that day, and working with you guys to do the Giving Hearts in-store promotion was fun to watch. And it's just something that we want to keep building on.
Good. I was so happy to hear how successful you guys were that day. What did that day look like for you? You said you were sitting there watching the numbers.
I get nervous, and it goes until midnight. So the next morning when you get up, you get to see that final total, and then you really know where that total has gone and what we get to do.
What do you get to do with it?
That is money that we use for making sure that seniors are staying safe. That money stays within our agency. It's for anything that we need to do to make sure that our agency can stay running on a successful basis.
Is there anything you have had your eyes on as far as creating a new program or a vehicle or adaptive equipment that you might be able to purchase now?
It's such a day-to-day basis. You just never know what's going to come up or what may happen for a senior, that it's just nice to know that we have those dollars, that if something does come up, we have those dollars to be able to help in any way that we can.
Right, it's there.
It is there.
You had mentioned that the Meals on Wheels suggested price of $4, and I was also looking at the price for transportation services. Wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Yep.
So it's $3 if we're going anywhere outside of one of your facilities, and then $1 per way if we're going to one of your guys' buildings.
Right. So if you are coming to one of our senior centers that serve a meal, it's $1 there and $1 home. If you are going anywhere else within the community, it's $3 going and $3 coming home. We try to keep it as economical as we possibly can, so we make sure that they get to go to their appointments that are needed. We don't want somebody to decide, okay, I either do this or I go to do this. We want to make sure that they're able to do what is needed to keep them safe.
Yep. Still live their life and be healthy and be
to
happy.
be independent. We want them to stay independent as long as they can. We have riders right now that are in their mid-90s that still ride with us on a regular basis. For a while, we had 4 that were in their hundreds that would ride with us on a regular basis. And I tell you what, there's a couple of those 90-year-olds that could probably run circles around what I do.
Stay feisty. That's the key, right?
They do. They do. And the fun part of it is they still have spunk and they still have a sense of humor, and they still give my drivers a lot of grief, which is wonderful in a fun way.
Yeah.
In a fun way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you going.
Yep. You got to laugh. You got to have laughter in your life.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to. I was looking over some of these numbers earlier, just kind of what you guys have been able to do. So last year, we provided over 339,000 meals.
Yes.
Is that in the all of the 6 counties?
Yes, that's all of Valley Senior Services, the 6 counties that we work with.
And this one caught my eye. You covered over 125,000 miles
Yes.
within Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo. So you do operate in some Moorhead places?
We do. We partner with the city of Moorhead. They supply a vehicle, and we supply the driver. So the Minnesota residents can be picked up and brought into Fargo or brought to their appointments, but it's in a Minnesota vehicle. So most of our vehicles are all North Dakota vehicles, but because of this partnership that we've been able to have, we do have some vehicles that are able to operate in Minnesota. There's a lot of transportation services that can't go across state lines. So there is only 3 that I know of off the top of my head that will transport in Minnesota.
So if you go into Moorhead when you're down in Wahpeton, do you go into Breckenridge then?
They will, if that is not the same type of setup, so we aren't able to do the same. The reason we're able to do the same is because Minnesota actually purchased these vehicles. So we have a contract with Minnesota to be able to do this. And it's through the people that run Map Bus is how we were able to set this whole scenario up. They do run paratransit out of Moorhead also, or Minnesota. So we have partnered with them, and they do more of the people that are needing more help or need a wheelchair access. And we do the people for them that are more ambulatory and don't need as much assistance, but just can't drive themselves.
Okay. Let's focus on you for a little bit. All right. Let's put you in the spotlight. Let's give you your time. You're the transportation manager.
I am.
What does that mean?
Well, I started with Valley Senior Services just about 9 years ago. I have come from a complete different type of background, as of everything I have done in my life has been some type of customer service. And I came from a company that had done dispatching, had done work with vehicles, have done those types of services. It looked interesting to me. So I applied and got operations supervisor, which means I took care of all the vehicles, I took care of all the drivers and everything that happened within the metro area. And as my boss, who was the transportation manager, moved into the Valley Senior Service director, then I applied for the transit manager and moved up. So now I'm more in the factor of securing money to keep the vehicles running, doing things for the factor of with DOT to make sure we're staying safe on the roads and keeping our drivers safe. And I'm working with all the counties now too. So I'm really working with all 27 vehicles and then all the staff that goes along with all those vehicles. So I don't get to be in the field as much. Every once in a while I would even have to drive, and I would get a rider on board and they'd say, "Well, I've never seen you before." And I'm usually in the office, and they're like, "Oh, that's why I don't see you." But it was kind of fun to be out but very nerve-wracking to drive as the city gets larger. All the traffic and the commotion and the interactions of the different vehicles that are out there. I would rather stay behind the desk and let the drivers do the driving.
Totally understand, especially that first snowfall.
Oh, yes.
I'd prefer to not be on the road.
Yep. Or when the snow piles get a little bit too tall and you can't see around a corner.
Yeah.
But, we have great drivers. We stay safe. We keep people moving. And that's just where we're going with the whole transportation. It's going safely down the road.
Do your drivers ever have riding seniors that kind of give them grief about their driving habits?
Yes. Even though they may not have driven for quite a while,
Yeah.
they would like to give directions. They like to say, "Oh no, you're doing it wrong," or
Total backseat
you're
driver.
not turning at the right corner. And the driver just takes it, smiles, and just says, I'm keeping you safe. I'm going the best route today.
Right.
But when they do get into a routine, sometimes it's hard to break that routine. And every driver may do it just a little bit different. Or in this area, we have a short window of opportunity for road construction. So, sometimes there's just not a road we can go down.
Yeah, you got to divert.
We do.
So how long have you been doing the transportation manager role?
About a year and a half right now, almost 2 is what I've been doing.
Would you say you like it more, less, or same than the operations supervisor?
I like it all in the same because I'm still able to be hands-on also. I'm a very hands-on type of person, so I like to be with people, very people-orientated. So anytime I can be with some of the seniors or be with the drivers or just being able to have a solution for a problem that's going on is what I like.
I think that speaks volumes about you and your character, right? You're here to help.
I am.
Yep.
I am. It's kind of a joke that I'm a solution engineer. I can solve a problem going down the road, heading to Minneapolis. I can find a driver if somebody's sick. It just seems like that has kind of been in my nature, and I'm hoping that I'm passing it on to my other staff, that they can help find those solutions also.
Right.
It's always a puzzle piece that needs to get put into place.
Mm-hmm.
It can change within 3 times in the first half an hour of the morning. We could have 15 cancellations just for the factor that somebody, there's people not feeling well. So then what do you do with that open spot? Well, you try to figure it out and keep them all moving.
You got to fill it. Because what's the impact of that, of people canceling, not having a vehicle? What does that mean?
Well, first of all, it's not only the rider that sometimes cancels, it's the doctors that cancel on the riders. And so then they have to completely rebook what's going on. We just do the best that we can with those 12 vehicles and the amount of time we have in a day to make sure that we're getting them to and from where they need to go. Sometimes it takes a little wiggling back and forth to make sure that we can get those people to those appointments. But within the 12 vehicles, we can usually get it all done.
Okay. Yeah, that has to be a massive headache.
One of the questions we ask as we hire is, and it has become kind of a joke, is, do you like putting puzzles together? Because basically that is what dispatching vehicles is putting puzzle pieces together. And I was told that was showing my age, and I should ask if they like playing Tetris instead, because putting puzzles together, but now it's kind of changing again because puzzles are coming back.
I was just going to say, that's one of my hobbies in the wintertime.
Yep. Now puzzles are coming back, so I can ask my question again.
It's funny. I haven't even heard of Tetris since my mom when I was a kid.
Yes.
Do you have any future goals for Valley Senior Services?
We'd like to grow the service. We'd like to be able to say we can add vehicles and be able to spread in our 6 counties and make sure that there is never anybody without a ride. Now, in our counties, our transportation is just a little bit different. It is also considered public transportation, so they don't have to be the age of 60 to be able to get that $3 ride. They can be any age.
Okay.
So there could be somebody say in Castleton, that just doesn't have a car at the moment but needs to get into town for different types of services, the county rides can bring them into town. So, the counties are set up just a little bit different and they're utilized just a little bit different than what our in-town service is. But we would like to make sure that we can broaden that to the fullest capacity, that we can get anybody that needs a ride or a service and make sure that they're taken care of.
For those county services, how do you get a hold of, and if you were to need that, how do you get it?
Each of the counties have their own phone number, and they have somebody that's answering the phone during daytime hours. And if you just don't know what that phone number is, we do have a website, and they can go on the website. Everything's listed on our website, or they can call our Valley Senior Services here in Fargo.
The main office.
The main office. And our main receptionist, Kylie, our front desk, Smile, can help them get to the right person.
Okay. That, I imagine you guys don't have enough of the resource specialists. I know I keep going back to that, but that's one of kind of my roles here in OK Tire is I may not have the answer, but I know who to put you through to. So I get quite a few phone calls for things that aren't in my jurisdiction, but I love it because I'm like, well, you need an answer to it.
Right. And it may not be us that can help you, but can we get you a phone number for a different service? Yes, we can. We have a booklet.
That's crucial.
With all types of information. Tax season. We don't help prepare taxes, but do we know people that do? Yes. Or do we have phone numbers? Yes. Even with transportation, our in-town service is for ambulatory only. So you need to be able to get in and out of a vehicle on your own, unattended. So what if you had a knee replacement and you can't get yourself in or out, or you happen to be in a wheelchair right now because of an injury or something that a surgery? There are multiple services in town that can help. Do we have those phone numbers? You bet, and we will be glad to share any of that information.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's funny how life comes around, and even with what I do, as I did hair for 22 years in Moorhead before that. So I'm still seeing some of the clientele from the salon are getting rides. Not that they know who I am, but I recognize who they are. And it's like, oh, yeah, I know that name.
That has to be like a heartwarming kind of circle back moment for you.
I've been in town since 1984. So there's a lot of different things I've done in town. So I have quite the. They always joke that if they need a contact, just go ask Cindy. She probably knows somebody in town that they can call.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you knew Tyler.
Yeah,
did not realize that.
Yeah.
Well, once we get Doug to get a bay for you here, then we'll start working on Nate and Wapaton.
Okay,
go,
there you go.
Cindy needs full service.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to call him and tell him that I said this.
Yeah,
afterwards.
and I don't know the Wapaton very well because we just became. I mean, we always had the transit service down there for Valley, but the staffing just came over into Valley Senior Service staffing last August.
Okay.
So they had been utilizing OK Tire down there for a long time.
Nate Barth is the location manager down there, and he has the same mentality as Doug.
Oh, goodness.
We want to take care of you, not upsell you. Right? Understand that they don't have as many mechanics, unfortunately, but the quality of service is still phenomenal.
Whenever you get a new person downstairs, I'll talk to Doug and I'll say, okay, does he know the rules?
Does he know the skinny?
Does he know how this has to go? I've already talked to him, Cindy. He knows the rules.
We got to stop giving Doug so much credit. His ego, like we said this morning, it's already taller than him.
Yeah, I know. But, it's fun to give him crap. It's fun to give him grief. But it's really nice to know that he's always got your back. Mm-hmm. And he tells you that. I got your back.
He does.
And now Thomas is the same way. I got your back. Thomas
is great.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. But just all the guys down there.
Like I said, I've gone through a few managers since I've been. I don't know how long you've been.
So I've been here it'll be 7 years in May, I
Okay.
believe, right? Sam, we're on year 7, right?
You might be.
Okay.
I'll be 6 years in July.
It was Doug that started a couple months after me. So yeah, I think we're on year 7. So I started in the shop as a tire tech.
I remember that.
So I got to work on your guys' vehicles, and then I went into sales at Maine. I'd say I was there for about a year or so, maybe. And then I went to sales at the South store. And I know you guys don't do as much over at the South store.
Yeah, it's
Which is what it is. Again, they don't have there's only one mechanic over there, whereas there's 3 over here, so we can get you in faster, which is incredibly important for you guys. And then I came back to the shop as shop manager. So I went back into the shop. And then I went on to the corporate side for retail sales. So I've been around for a while now with you guys.
well, and it's always interesting to see the people that stay and the friendship that we build. Even though I'm not in here as much anymore, like you have a new staff down at the desk right now, so they don't know me
Right.
like the other ones did. And when Jordan was downstairs, see, I knew Jordan from his dad.
Really?
I worked with his dad in a previous job. I knew Jordan when he was a little kid.
Oh my goodness.
So when I realized who he was, so it's funny how it all kind of comes back around again.
And Jordan's like Mike Dow, where he's here, he's just
Yep.
over at the distribution center.
Yep. And you have such great personalities at the desk that it's easy to build that relationship. So, now it's time for the new person that is taking over that
Yeah.
calling and doing things to get that relationship built. But
And from what I understand, Thomas was kind of touching on it a little bit this morning, because they were discussing kind of who's the point of contact now if it's not you all the time. And Tom said, I apologize, I don't remember her name. Jennifer. Thomas said, nope, I just call her. So
Yep.
it sounds like that relationship is starting to.
Yep, it is. But Thomas knows that if it's after hours, because we're done at 4:30, then he just texts me. And then I get it to Jennifer and
Easy peasy.
yep, then it's a done deal.
Your guys' kind of motto is, how can we help the senior population? And we go, how can we help you?
Right. Customer
it.
service. It is the biggest piece of any type of business is customer service. You can teach anybody anything except customer service. It needs to be within the person
To want to help.
to want to help or to know how to help or to get the answers. It's one of those things that it needs to come naturally, and sometimes it doesn't, and then it's not a good fit.
Right. I would agree with you. But I think the term customer service gets a bad rap.
It does.
But when you explain it that way, of it's got to come from inside and wanting to help, then it's easier to look at it in a more positive light. Because you throw out customer service and you think like retail clothing department or any food industry, and it's just, those people are getting negative experiences all day, every day. They hate their jobs, whatever it is. But if it's just helping people, if you're looking at it in that light, it's so much easier to do the job.
It is getting angry at a person that's trying to help you does not help. The more calm and just staying on an even keel, the easier it is to get that customer service. And for the person that you're trying to help, bringing them down to stay calm really makes a big difference on how to get the solution taken care of.
Right.
And getting angry or yelling at somebody doesn't really get anywhere, but staying calm and working together. And that's where I have found that, okay, a vehicle broke down. I'm not going to call up and yell because it was just there and something happened. No, you call and say, hey, I have a problem. What can we do? How can we get this vehicle back on the road again? And there's always somebody there that's going to help me get that solution fixed and get things going. Same thing with trying to find a ride, trying to get a meal, trying to get services. If we can all work together and do it in a comfortable, calm situation, it just makes things so much easier.
Right. Focus on the problem. Let's not focus on the consequence.
Right.
Because focusing on that isn't going to get the problem solved.
Right. And there's always a solution. There's always a way to figure something out. There's always a way to find a good fix.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to sometimes take a few minutes and think about it and work on it together and get it to work.
Right. I want to go back to you. Right? We're gonna keep going back to you, Cindy. You seem incredibly passionate about helping people. How do I solve this problem? How do we fix this here? How do we do the things that we need to do? Based off of you had mentioned that you've been in customer service for the majority of your life.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
So after high school, I became a hairstylist. So, of course, customer service, helping people. I did hair for close to 22 years in many different aspects. And you see people at their high and you see people at their low and you see people that really need help and you just learn to help. And I think that's just part of my nature. I have always been like that I want to help. I have done customer service I've worked at retail stores. I've been at the customer service desk. I've been on the other end of a person that is very upset or angry. I have worked in property management. So I've seen people that maybe can't afford to pay what they're supposed to be paying at the time. You find a solution. So I have done so many different things in my adult career that it all comes back to that customer service. And that's just a passion of mine, is to help.
That's wonderful. You don't see that.
I joke with Doug downstairs that one day I'm going to have his job, and I'm going to be his boss. Yeah.
I have that same joke with him.
And he just looks at me and goes, "Oh, Cindy."
Yeah. Okay. You keep thinking what you want. We should have had Doug up here. Honestly. But I think he's over at the other location right now. What's next for you in Valley Senior?
Well, with my maturity of age, I hope to just stay keeping at the position that I'm at, but I want to see the agency grow. I want to help in that era of, let's see what we can do with this type of agency to make it as big and as great as we possibly can.
That's what I was going to ask earlier. I forgot. When you had mentioned earlier that you wanted to see growth, I was going to ask, do you want to see growth as more capabilities within the areas you're already serving, or do you want to broaden where you guys can service people?
The state of North Dakota, every county has some type of senior service.
Oh, okay.
We are very lucky for the state. A lot of them, the transportation and the meal is all one. It's one person doing it because it's maybe just one county or two counties, but it could be, many miles in between towns that are within that county when you get out into the western side of North Dakota. Yeah. And Minnesota runs theirs just a little bit different. Even though there is a Meals on Wheels in Moorhead, it's not part of us.
Okay.
But we do have information for those people because we want to make sure that they can get to the proper person if they need assistance also.
I didn't even know that.
Yes. We just want to make sure that we're not letting anybody fall between the cracks, which when you get to a maturity of age, there may be multiple people that you just don't realize are even living in that house or that apartment and really could use assistance because they don't know how to reach out. So we're hoping that through information and things that we can get out to their children or friends. We have a lot of people that walk into the main office of Valley Senior Services, and I'll hear, because my office is right up front, I hear a lot what goes on at the front desk. And they'll say, I have a friend that has a problem, and I'm here to try to get some information. And maybe the person that needs the help is, I don't want to say ashamed or just fearful to ask for that help, but there's a friend that will do it for them. And that's what we need to keep striving for, is that we get to all those people that need that help.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was also going to ask, do you see more of the actual senior members that need the assistance calling in, or do you see more of people around them going, hey, they need help?
We get both.
Okay.
We get a lot of both. And we get the adult children of people also, who a lot of them are out of state and have no way of knowing, what can they get. So they may Google senior services and our name will come up and they'll start with us, and then we try to assist.
And because you have the resource specialists,
Right.
it's not 100 phone calls trying to get little bits of information. You're a
Right.
one-stop shop.
Well, we are, and we just have the resources that we can hand out phone numbers. If it's not us that can help them, can we get you a phone number, or can we get you another person to talk to? They'll do whatever we can to be able to get that information to that person.
Yeah. In situations where, if the senior isn't comfortable, embarrassed, whatever the reasoning is that they don't want to get help, but the people around them can see they need something, whatever it is that you guys can provide, or whatever channel of communication you can provide for another service, how would you suggest going about that for those family members? How do you bring it up, or do you just do it, or what, without upsetting them?
We do multiple different ways they can we can talk with them. We may start out with just a phone call, and we may hear a lot of, "Oh, I don't need you. There's nothing wrong with me." And then the adult child may call back again and say, "No, we need to discuss this farther." Sometimes when the kids are in town, we may have a conversation as a group, the resource specialist and the children and the parent. We'll get phone calls at the transit office saying, my parents' car just got taken away. They are no longer allowed to drive. We've taken their keys away. It's not safe for them to be on the road, but they're not ready to give this up.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the hardest things of conversations that we have to have, because that's taking another level of independence away from them.
Yeah.
But we try to make it as comfortable as we can with those first rides. Sometimes the adult child will go with the first time they ride, just so they're comfortable knowing their parent is getting put into a safe vehicle, in a clean vehicle.
So it's more for the children than it is for
Sometimes,
the senior.
Sometimes,
Okay.
sometimes it's for a spouse. Sometimes it's for a significant other. As the age of a senior, the technology level of an age of a senior seems to be getting heightened. They're able to access websites easier. They're able to use their cell phones easier. They're not as fearful to reach out as maybe what my grandparents or your grandparents used to be.
Yeah.
Now there's more access and more information online, and that just makes the easier we can give information, the easier it is for people to reach out.
Yeah.
We partner with quite a few of the communities in the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo area. Not the Moorhead area, the Fargo, West Fargo area for assisted livings that we'll go in and talk. One of the resource specialists and myself will go in and we'll explain what we do, how we can help them, how they get information. And then that spreads through that community of where they're living, and we get a lot more people wanting more information.
Yeah.
And the more information we can get out into people's hands, the better it is for anybody. And maybe they don't need us right now. Maybe they don't have a concern.
But you're a good little card to keep in the back pocket for when
Right.
that time does come.
Right. Because who knows what tomorrow's going to bring,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then, okay, oh yeah, I remember that group. I remember that they were here. I remember that they offered us this. That's what we want to be. We want to be that first thought when something does come up in the community.
How do you get to the people that aren't at the assisted living level yet?
We do some radio spots. We do some TV ads. There's certain channels that we find we hit certain demographics. We do newspaper still. There is still that newspaper. Online. You know, we try any type of outlet that we can to get that information out.
Okay.
Our vehicles with our names and phone numbers,
Mm-hmm.
as we tell our drivers, you're a moving billboard.
Yep.
Watch what you do
Absolutely.
because you are in the community and you will be seen.
Do you ever think about changing the graphics on the cars?
You know, we have and we haven't. It's kind of a stability. So right now they recognize us.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind
Don't
of
want to mess with that.
kind of the same as you may not have realized, but all of our drivers wear red jackets.
Yep.
And we do that on purpose because when somebody's walking out of a clinic and the driver is standing outside waiting for them to walk out, they can spot that red jacket.
Yeah, I don't even have to look up. I know exactly what you're talking about. They all
Yep.
wear the same one.
Yep. And we did that on purpose.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart thinking on your guys' part.
Yeah.
Gosh, I had a question. I've done this a million times this time. What was it about? Okay, so expanding on services, health and wellness. Actually, no, I remember my question. I'm going to jump back to that, Sam, if you're okay with that. You focus more on the metro areas, but you do service rural.
Yes.
I would imagine that the level of, man, how do I want to say this? How do I want to word it? I don't want to say that the problems with people in rural areas versus metro areas are worse than the other, but I imagine they're just different as far as transportation goes.
There are different needs, and there are the same types of needs. They need to get into town, whether it be into their local area to go to a clinic appointment or to do their shopping or to do things like that. There's also coming to the metro area as we are growing larger and larger to do major doctoring, or the VA is here. We'd make multiple trips throughout the days going to the VA. So it's something that we need to look at in multiple ways to make sure that we're able to be able to get those people to what they need to do on a safe basis. Maybe they just need to go in town up to the local bakery and just have a treat just to get out of the house. Those vehicles in the counties can do that. Or they have to come to Fargo to do a major appointment. Those vehicles can do that. So we've looked at anything that could possibly come up, and there's always new scenarios that we try to adapt to.
So speaking of adapting, and you had mentioned that the online abilities of seniors is heightening. Pray to God there's not another COVID. But we were talking about community and seniors waiting on, that one moment a week where they get to, or the one meal a day where they get to see someone, point of contact. And the rest of the world has moved on to virtual everything.
Yes.
Virtual schooling, dating, working. It just, everyone's lives are all online. So to hear that the ability to use the internet is getting better as more seniors are aging is phenomenal, for one. And two, do you guys see yourselves shifting to more virtual services for people, even if it's just for basic communication?
There is something about that human touch, something about that human contact that just seems to help ease some of the anxiety that, yes, in certain ways there could be some virtual things, but I feel that in our agency we will probably always be hands-on. We need to be able to use the phone, talk to them personally. Maybe if anything ever happened again that we could not go into the homes, could we talk outside the home? Could we, do something just to make sure that we have that human contact?
Yeah.
We need that human contact. Yeah.
get it.
This is one type of service that there are things that, yes, virtual exercises, virtual ways of having contact with family, but we still will probably always need that personal touch.
I don't disagree with you. So the fact that you guys are going to stay strong, or you want to as much as you possibly can, just I think will help put people's mind at ease that the center of Valley Senior Services is to help serve the senior population.
Right.
To the best of your ability.
Our inner staff, will we have to go to more virtual or Teams types meetings or Zoom type meetings? Yes, the world changed when COVID hit, and we are still doing those types of things. If we can't make it to a meeting, we just jump on our computer and we're right there. We're right in the sites. I still feel even having a mom that's 93, just having to see her daily, just to have a face-to-face with her is something that is just what she needs.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple technology as of Ring cameras and Amazon Echoes and things like that can be set up within homes that they can have that face-to-face with somebody that maybe isn't technology savvy.
Right.
But there's still just something about that human contact.
I wouldn't disagree with you at all.
Yep.
At all. So you had mentioned virtual exercises, and I was going to ask about health and wellness, and then I remembered my question. What, as far as health and wellness goes, what is it that you guys can provide?
Well, first, the meal. The meal is a nutritional setup meal through nutritionists that we have to provide. They look at what is required. Does every senior like what's on their plate? No. Would they love to have a chocolate brownie every single day with their meal? Yes.
I do remember getting a couple looks. They're like, "What is it?" And I go, "I think it's meatloaf." Fine. Just excited.
And there are meals that are big getters. Like we'll know when it's a meatloaf day or a meatball day or hot dish around this area is always a big one. And we'll know the days that it may be fish, but you have to, with the standards, there has to be a certain amount of vegetable. There has to be a certain amount of carbohydrate. There's a certain amount of protein that has to be in this component for this meal. And it's regulated. And that's how we get our funding, is to stay in this regulated meal.
And I don't know if everyone knows that. I don't know if they just think that we're out passing hungry mans to everyone all day, but no, it's...
So nutritional meals are very strongly watched, and yes, and they state funding really keeps an eye on how everything is presented. When we started with the new program, and a treat or a dessert was not something that was in the nutritional guidelines, was a hard one. The sweet is something that the clients really like.
Yeah.
So they'll do a treat on special days,
Gotcha.
our holiday meals and things like that. Or they try to find a way to do some fresh fruit with, something to make it more of a dessert.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that we have to stay within certain guidelines to make sure that we're providing a nutritional meal.
Mm-hmm.
And some days, like you said, you'll bring the meal and they'll give you a not so happy face, and some days they don't care what the meal is. They just want to see your face.
Yeah.
They just want to see you come to the door. So it's that human contact.
So nutrition, obviously, number one there, and then health, education, and mental wellness resources. So what does that?
So I believe all of our senior sites do what's called Bone Builders, and it is an exercise program that is free for them to come, and they have a series. It's about a 45-minute class, 2 days, 1 day, 2 days a week. And it's with weights, and it's just a way to keep them moving, have a little social action with having some exercise. And it's free for them to we have a volunteer that teaches it at all of the locations. And it's just a fun way to be with somebody that's maybe at the same level of exercise that you are at.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to run a 5K, but maybe they do, and they just want to come and do some exercising too.
And socialize.
Yes.
Which seems to be kind of the main
It's
point of all this.
It's a big thing. We want that socialization. We want them to get out of the home, to get moving, to stay independent. And Bone Builders is one of them. Some of the sites have tried doing some chair yoga. They're working on things like that. Crafting is another one. They'll do crafting. And, of course, cards. Pinochle, bridge, whist. Every card game you probably could imagine is probably played at some of the senior centers, and they're serious about their card playing.
Yeah, you do not get in the way.
Don't get in the way, and do not interrupt bingo. Do not make a noise when they're playing bingo. Bingo is a very serious type of thing.
Yeah.
But then there's other things that some of the sites try to do. They'll have birthday club. Or they'll have the Senior Center in Lisbon for Giving Hearts Day just did a treasure and treat sale where they did a garage sale and then sold treats for Giving Hearts. And it was all by donation basis. They did a soup cook-off. So they'll try just about anything to see if they can get participants to come in and just have some social interaction.
Because that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
Face to face.
Jumping back to kind of costs. Sorry,
That's okay.
I jump around everywhere. My bad. Sam will fix it. So, just a few of the facts that you've given me in trying to keep people independent that can also save money. Because I'm sure that's the same conversation every time it comes up. Mom or dad have to go into a home, and then you get the prices of the home, even assisted living, even having someone come in and help. I imagine not a lot of those conversations are positive. But 1 year of meals served is equal to 10 days in a nursing home or 2 days in a hospital.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you can keep people at home and independent And if they are paying the suggested $4 for a meal, they would only get 10 days in an assisted living for what they had paid for that meal for a year. Or if they had to go into a hospital and they were only in there for 2 days, that is 1 year of being at home with having Meals on Wheels delivered to them or coming to a congregate site. Yes.
Mind-blowing.
It is.
So how is the price increases of food affecting you guys right now?
You know, I'm sure there's going to be some changes at some point. Right now, we are able to stay level. We'll see where everything goes in life as of legislation and politics. We just want to make sure we can keep people fed.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we are doing our Giving Hearts Day. We try to have a little bit of a cushion to make sure that they don't have to decide they're either going to eat that day or they're going to buy their medicine. That's just not where we want people to go.
Right.
You know, you think about, I drive down the streets in town and you think about, and I'm sorry if you two are Caribou lovers or Starbucks lovers or things like that, but you look at the lines at some of the coffee houses and what they pay for one coffee and what we ask for a donation for one meal. Most of the lower end coffees could be 2 meals for somebody.
So I actually stopped going to Caribou Starbucks. I make it at home now. That's not because you said that. It's because I actually do that. It's expensive.
It is, but and some people that's their enjoyment for the day.
Yeah.
But you think of
That's their enjoyment for the day. Seniors are relying on this for human contact in a
Yes.
day or a ride to the beauty salon for the week. And the rest of the time, they're sitting at home waiting for those moments.
yes. And if you look at some of that difference in dollars, could there be a shared effort? Like if you buy 2 coffees a day, would you consider donating one of those amounts to Valley Senior Services instead of buying that second coffee of the day?
You know what you should do? You should ask Doug how much one of his 20-ounce Red Bull cans is when you see him, because he drinks a couple of those bad boys a day.
And you think about
Hopefully
it.
he doesn't listen to this. He's gonna get mad.
Oh, I'll deal with Doug. You think about the age of what staffing is and give it 20 years and where they're going to be looking for help.
Yeah. Where you
Or
gonna go?
do they have there? It's amazing.
Caribou's not going to be there.
It's amazing how many I deliver a meal and there is a family member living with them to make sure that they're getting the types of services that they need. You know, at the young age that maybe is at your desk downstairs, would you ever look at them and think, oh, you're going to have to move in with your mother someday because they need the extra help? The demographics is changing so drastically of how age is progressing that younger doesn't even consider thinking that they're going to be old. And I don't like to use the word old. I like to use the word mature because they are, and the knowledge that they have and the things that they've gone through. You think about a couple of our 100-year-old riders, where they were maybe when there was a war going on, and the things that they have seen in their life and the things that they have done in their life, the knowledge that they have. And sometimes that's what comes out during a ride. It's amazing some of what these people have done.
Well, in kind of talking about what you guys do and then the prices of things and people not realizing or thinking about what the future is going to hold, we got some numbers. Some North Dakota. These are just North Dakota, right? Yeah, North Dakota's
Yeah.
aging population. And this is based off of, it doesn't say the year. Wait, 2024. Total population of adults over 60, 176,929. So 22.9% of the population in North Dakota right now, which is a pretty good chunk, I would say. Seniors that are living alone, 45,932. And the state ranking for risk of social isolation of people over 65 is 17th in the U.S. How much of that do you attribute to how rural the majority of our population is?
Some. You're finding that people are staying on their homesteads a lot longer. And maybe their homesteads have an adult child or a renter or something on their homesteads also that, kind of watch out for them and things like that. We have frozen meals that go out just in Cass County. I mean, the counties do it too, but I'm just know the numbers for Cass County. In Cass County, every Wednesday, we have a division, and the interstate is kind of our division, that we take frozen meals out to people in Cass County. We can have up to 200 meals in a week, and it goes out every 2 weeks. So they can get about 14 meals, and they're frozen, so they keep them in the freezer, and then they, just take them out and warm them up. But that is growing more and more, again, because they want to stay at home as long as they can.
Right. Because nobody wants to lose their independence.
Right.
You're told what you have to do.
It's a tough conversation to have when you have to tell somebody, I'm sorry, but you can't do this anymore.
Yep. So there's a big number that's really hitting me right now, looking at this sheet under the poverty one. And this one just hits home from some of my grandparents. So seniors age 65 and over who lack income to pay for basic living needs. For the ones that are single, it's 44%.
Yes.
For the ones that are still together, it's 21.4%. But out of 176,929, for those that are single, 44% of them can't afford to pay for basic living needs, rent, food, utilities that you would need. The fact that you guys are able to keep your prices so minimal is terrifying when you think of how expensive things are getting. Not to get into like a political thing, but I know that this is a concern for many, is that we need to take care of our aging population. I mean, they spent the majority of their lives working, and then we just forget about them. It's a huge problem if they can't afford to live.
The amount of rent that has come up on different locations for a basic 1-bedroom, not the most decent apartment right now, you're looking at probably anywhere from $650 to $750.
If they're disabled and they can't work?
Yep. How do they pay for that?
I've never gotten a Social Security check, but I from what I remember with my grandma, they're not a lot.
Nope.
I mean, and you get the check once a month, so then, you might have a couple weeks of being comfortable, and then you have a couple weeks of scrounging or reaching out to family members. Or
we're lucky in this area that we have food banks that are able to help with some of those needs for some of those individuals that need that extra help. There is different types of programs that can be accessed for rent and heating and things like that. And that's what our resource specialists are for. Mm-hmm. And that's what they help the people find, is that happy medium that they can still live a comfortable life without having to worry about what is tomorrow going to bring.
Right. Because that's such a, I love that we're focusing on the positives that you and Valley Senior Services bring to the area, right? That's a lot of people that are listening to this, I would imagine, are going to learn a few things. However, I do feel that we need to showcase the massive problems that come with not taking care of our matured members of society.
Yep.
Because we're all going to end up there.
Hopefully.
That's the natural progression of life. We're all going to get old. So, yeah, we do need to start thinking about what's going to happen.
Who's going to take care of us?
Right.
What is the day going to look like when we need that extra help? Is there going to be a Valley Senior Services at that point? Is there going to be any type of assistance at that point? So the more we can help the people that are here right now, the more we can get our name out, the more we can get volunteers, the better resources and information we can help with people, the more independence we can give.
And that's
Yes.
the name of the game. That's the goal here. Keeping people as independent as long as possible,
Yes.
because that's not what you want to lose. It's the last thing you want to lose.
Right. Right. And again, taking an independence away from a person is the hardest thing that you have to do for somebody, and you may see them downslide very quickly if they don't have that contact of a human to be able to keep them going.
Yes,
If there
support.
if there wasn't a way to get them to appointments, or even we have a couple gentlemen that we take to visit friends at a Hardee's, or well, I guess it's not much for Hardee's anymore, but they'll go have coffee with a group of guys. And one of them meets out at West Acres, and they just sit at a table and talk. And then we go back and pick them up. But if he wasn't able to do that, where would his life be? How isolated would that person be? They need to have the contact. They need to have the face-to-face. They need to know that somebody is still caring.
It kind of puts into perspective a little bit differently, since we have locations in so many rural towns. If I show up to the town in the morning and then I'll go to the gas station, get my breakfast or get some gas, and then you see the group of seniors just talking, just chit-chatting away. But yeah, that could be what their day. That's why they want to wake up the next day.
Yep.
Right.
There was a little gentleman in Lisbon, and I don't answer phones down there very often, but every once in a while we had to help. So the phones would get transferred into Fargo so we could help answer phones. And he would go to the bakery every day to have a sweet, and then he'd go back home. But that was his day. But there was a certain day that the bakery was closed. So then he had to go to the convenience store and have his treat. But that was his once a day outing to get him out and get him moving. You know, and that's what we need to make sure people are doing. As long as I have a good book, I can stay in my house and read, but you can only do that for so long, and you need to go outside and move.
Right.
And you think about some of the seniors that maybe are not able to get in and out of their home because of winter snow, or there's icy, or maybe something's not cleared at an apartment, and they just are stuck. That's just not healthy.
Yeah. Do you guys work with like in the winter, since that's over half of our year, like snow removal companies when you get those calls?
They do have names of people. It's not that they have a list of different types of services that can be helped. And there are different agencies that have different services that can be helped. Sometimes it's just a factor of calling the city and asking for some help. But that's what the resource specialists are there for, to see what they can do to make sure that person can get out.
Yeah. Because you can't have contact if you're snowed in. Right.
Or they have 6 inches of ice on their wooden stairs to come out of their home.
That's not safe.
And they're trying to do it with a walker. You know, there are some situations where that person would probably be more comfortable being in a community of 55 or older or a senior living because they can get that contact. But is that the best place for them to be at that point? Because those places have their needs also.
Mm-hmm.
They are there to help. They are there to make sure that they're staying safe and have that contact. That's the next step in life.
Yeah.
That's where we need to look at, where are the needs?
Do you, before I forget, your resource specialists can help get people to where they need to be or get in contact with who they need to. Can people on the Minnesota side call you to figure out where to go over there or to even just get started?
There is agencies in Minnesota that the resource specialists have phone numbers for,
Okay.
Clay County, things like that they will give out phone numbers for that too.
Okay.
Or they'll try to find something to make sure that they get some assistance. We don't want to leave anybody in the lurch. We try to answer all the questions that we can in a very timely manner with some kind of answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good deal. Giving help to everybody.
It's not going to hurt anyone to not give them information. I mean, you have to give people information, whether it's our agency or another agency.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that they get that information. We want to make sure that they can succeed.
Absolutely. Is there a story that you have that is kind of tugs on your heartstrings?
There's probably way too many to explain or talk about. I just love hearing stories, and I love that they will share them.
Mm-hmm.
And they each have a unique background, that they all have a great story to tell. And yes, we hear the same story a lot, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. They're happy with where their life has gone, and they have a great story to share. I just like hearing them. I just like knowing that they're still willing to share that information.
I bet you get some good personalities coming through, too.
Oh, there's lots of fun personalities. Some of them are unique, but, you have to have unique to make the world go round.
Mm-hmm.
And we just treasure each one of them. One of the hardest things is to see that maybe one of our clients has passed away. In the dispatch area, in the transit area, we don't, the drivers get to see him, but the gals that take and the guys that take the phone messages and book the appointments don't really ever get to see the riders.
Yeah.
So sometimes things about a rider and have never ever met them. And it seems like you're best of friends,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't pick them out of West Acres if they walked right next to you.
Right.
But that's how relationships go.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there, in talking about Olive Valley Senior, the maturing population, is there something that you want listeners to grasp from this conversation?
The biggest thing I can ask is if you have a way that you could help, if you could volunteer, if you know somebody that needs help, please reach out. Please, if you could give us an hour a week, an hour a month, we would love to have you come and join us.
For volunteering.
For volunteering. If you have a need for our services or know somebody that does, just ask. It's one of those things, you think about it, our $3 ride one way is just about the price of 1 gallon of gas right now. And we do 150 rides a day in our 12 vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Some days more, some days less. But that is a lot of people that we transport throughout a day to get to and from. And the same with the meals. You think about how many meals go out of our sites every single day just to be one of those contacts. Or maybe you have a talent. We've had senior centers where we've had people that maybe play guitar or have a great craft, or they will ask if they can come and volunteer. We partner with Hope Blooms, which is the flowers, and you don't ever see a bigger smile on someone's face, male or female, when they get a flower.
I used to be in this networking group, and she came and spoke to us. And one of the kind of highlights that she had mentioned was bringing them to senior centers.
Yes.
She loved doing that.
It's amazing when they get that little flower. And it's not a really big bouquet, but it's just one little flower, and it just keeps their smile going. And that's great.
You had said for volunteers, if they have an hour a month, an hour a day, this kind of goes back to the conversation I had a few podcasts ago with Travis Christopher, where people's idea of volunteering, they think it has to be consistent or just ongoing all the time. And it's almost like that's too scary. Like, I can't.
Right.
I
Too
can't
much
put
commitment.
that. Right. So when you say an hour a week or an hour a month, is that something that you're looking for consistently, or can it be, I can give you an hour this month and I can give you 5 hours next month?
Yes.
Is it only Meals on Wheels drivers, or what else are you looking for? You had kind of mentioned.
Volunteer basis, Meals on Wheels. Our drivers are a paid position because of some of the standards we have to go through to make sure that they're, safe with driving DOT or driving a person. But volunteering, we would take anything that you have to offer. We have people that leave for the winter, so we need to fill those spots. We have teachers that do it during the summer and, of course, then go back to teaching. So we need, to always fill a spot. There's people that end up ill that can't volunteer for that day. The volunteer coordinator, Megan, does a phenomenal job trying to coordinate all those puzzle pieces and make sure those routes are taken care of and filled.
What are the qualifications to drive as a volunteer for Meals on Wheels?
She has a whole program. So we do background checks. And so that's the start. You can talk with Megan. She'll get you a background check and get you started that way. She has an orientation that she goes through. It is a PowerPoint program that she talks about all the different scenarios that may come up. You can choose different locations that fit, where you work or if you're off. So there's so many opportunities that we can plug somebody into.
Right.
Just a human body would be a huge help.
And I know for the people listening in, that might sound a little much. Like, even when we signed up originally, I was like, they do a background check? I mean, I don't think I got anything on there, but I want to showcase. Sam's like, we're cutting that out. I want to showcase the level of care that you guys are putting into this. You don't just want anybody to come in. You need to make sure that who you're sending is going to be capable and safe. And then with the training, with the situations that can happen, I'm sure you guys get one situation a day at least.
At least.
That's out of the normal. So people need to be prepared. But you guys need drivers, you need bodies.
We do. And it's fun. We have husband and wives do it. We have friends do it together. We have business associates do it together. We have moms and kids doing it. Being that volunteer and the seniors love seeing the kids. They love seeing the kids come up and help with the meals. I've done it with my granddaughter. She has a blast. She wants to carry the meal. She wants to carry the bag. She wants to ring the doorbell. She doesn't want me to be anywhere near her.
Yeah, I got this.
I got this. Yep, exactly. And and that's fun to see that I can promote this with my granddaughter and get her out there helping with some of that.
You're getting the next generation coming in.
Exactly.
The next puzzle solvers.
Yeah, exactly. That puzzle that needs to have that piece fit into the proper place.
The story you told earlier about the kids kind of wondering, why isn't this person's name on here? That tugged on mine a little bit.
And I looked up and I looked at the family because I was helping in one of the pickup sites, and I said to the mom, I said, "Wow, I'm impressed." And she said, "Oh, he
he checks this list out to make sure that, he's got his favorites on there that he wants to make sure he gets to see that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have we have teenagers, we have high school kids. We have some people from NDSU that when it's summer and their college kid is home, they'll go with the volunteer. So it's the demographics of age that can help do this volunteering. It's there is no stopping.
It's anybody.
It's anybody. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining.
Oh, this has been a blast.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned so much. There's just so much more to this than I thought it was just Meals on Wheels. I never really understood that there's this whole program that you guys are able to offer and that how large you are.
Well, and we've been around since 1971. And just because you're car people, we'll kind of throw a little blast from the past. They started with 2 drivers, 1 panel van, and a panel station wagon. And that's how they picked up people. They had one was the driver and one was what they called the jumper. One would get out and open the doors.
Okay.
Okay. So if you look up these old station wagons and these old vans,
Yeah.
that's what we had for vehicles that we started. And we're transporting people.
Yeah. Now look at you guys.
And look at, yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's amazing. Even the short period of time I've been here to see, the people kind of come around.
Mm-hmm.
And sad part of life of how our nature is yes, we lose people, but there's always another senior that is right behind them that needs our help.
Right.
And we can get them on and going, and it's sad, but it's good. Our phone never stops ringing.
It's life.
It is, and we're there to help them. We're there to answer that phone and find out what they need.
Good. I'm so glad that we have people like you.
Well, I'm glad that we have people like you that we can keep our little buggies moving out
Thank
there,
you.
because that would not be a good thing.
Right.
And we need that association with different businesses that we can make sure that we keep everything on a nice track.
You have to stay connected as a community.
Oh,
You fail if you don't.
Completely.
Fail if you don't.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This
I had
has
a
been
great
fun.
time.
Good.
Now I have to go do Meals on Wheels.
Okay.